Okay, if you clicked on this video, you're probably like an anxious overachiever type person. Someone who constantly feels like they need to do more and more, achieve more and more, someone who never quite feels like they are doing enough. That's a difficult personality trait. I deal with it a lot, and in this video, I want to talk about a book I read that really helped to challenge those perspectives of constantly needing to one-up myself and do better, and sometimes just being satisfied with where things are at. Hey, I'm Mike. If you don't know me, I'm probably better known as Radio Mike or Podcast Mike. I spent most of my 20s working on some of the biggest radio shows and podcasts in Australia as a producer. Now I have my own media business. I have a blog, a podcast, and another YouTube channel. This is my second channel where I just talk about kind of my learnings being a millennial in a vlog-like style. So if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and check out some of my other content online. This book has a really plain cover and it is called The Underachiever's Manifesto by a guy called Ray Bennett. I had it written down on the screen there. So this book is a little bit like tongue-in-cheek, it's a little bit facetious, but I think it has some really good points. It is basically something you can sit down and read in about an hour. I just read it in one night, just like in my nightly reading session before bed. And it kind of looks at this idea of overachieving and this idea of constantly striving for more and why it is actually almost like logically better to underachieve and to just kind of reach your potential and know more than that, I suppose. So I wanted to talk about some of my favorite quotes that I highlighted while I read. And this first one here I really liked. It says, "Our world is so full of unrelenting messages about being the best you can be that it may not have even occurred to you to try for anything less." I mean, how profound is that? Like, we are bombarded from the time we are literally kids that like we need to be the best version of ourselves, which like, yeah, I agree with, but like, you're right that it's drilled into us and we never actually think, hey, I can just kind of be me. Like, I think we're always taught from very young to strive for more, to strive for the best grades at school, to strive for the best paying job, having the most money, having the biggest house. And at the end of the day, like, I live in this 1-bedroom apartment and yeah, it's a little bit cramped, but sometimes I do think like, what more do I actually want from life? Like, I have a partner, I have a place to live, I earn money that I can buy all my groceries and have a little bit left over after paying my bills. Like, what more do I really need and how much more do I want to achieve? I mean, I do want to achieve more, but let's look at this next quote, which I think kind of adds on to what I'm saying here. "There are more than 6 billion people on the planet. Almost none of them care about your latest victory in the stock market, the promotion you earned, the new car you've just bought, or the weight that you've lost. A disconcerting number of the 6 billion people are just trying to get enough food to stay alive." Again, putting our lives into perspective of like so much of the world which lives in poverty, starvation, all of these terrible things, disease, crime. Like, I live in a relatively safe place. I have money, I have food, I'm not at risk of starving, I likely will not run out of money anytime soon, like I have a consistent income. Those are the things to be grateful for, and why do I have to strive for even more? This next quote is, "We're so brainwashed into believing that achievement is essential that we don't even question the idea. Even if we're resigned to being mediocre in one or more parts of our lives, we usually try to find some way to feel superior to others. And while there's nothing wrong with trying to be better at some component of our lives, for many people, achievement becomes more than a goal. It becomes an addiction." I have never thought of achievement and success as an addiction, because again, like, here I am saying like, I feel like I have enough in life. I feel like what I have is good enough, but then I still yearn for more in this addictive way. And I'm still out there trying to do stuff to figure out how I can be the best. And there's so much comparison in 2025. There's so much online comparison, social media, all of this stuff that really warps our thinking, makes us feel like everyone else has more money than us, everyone else is more successful than us. Honestly, like, I remember being a kid in the 90s and 2000s, and like, you just didn't have those avenues to compare your life to other people. And most of the people that lived in your neighborhood had kind of similar lives to you, so you didn't really feel these feelings back then. Only now that you can see everyone in the world and what they're doing, do we really struggle with this. And I think these next 3 short quotes really kind of solidify like my thinking here. So here they are in succession. 1, At some point, you really can't live any better, no matter how much money you earn or spend. 2, benefits don't continue to accrue at the same rate as effort or investment. At some point in almost any endeavor, the curve flattens out. 3, to seek perfection is to be cursed to find fault in the perfectly adequate, enjoyable, or just plain good. Bam. 3 in a row there that are fantastic. And think about it like this, okay? I'm pretty sure there's this study, and again, like this is I haven't researched this, but I remember hearing about it, and the figures might be wrong, but the principle is the same, okay? That like if you earn like $50,000 a year and you get a raise to $75,000 a year, the increase in happiness with that $25,000 extra is enormous. Like the difference between $50,000 to $75,000 is an enormous increase in happiness and quality of life. But the same amount of money from $75,000 to $100,000 actually has minimal impact on increase in happiness. So the same figure, $25,000 extra dollars at different points has a different effect on your overall happiness. And I think that's such a fascinating thing that this is what this is saying, like benefits don't continue to accrue at the same rate. So from 50 to 75, that benefit is huge, but from 75 to 100, that benefit is not as huge. And I'm not saying that the money wouldn't make a difference. Obviously it would, but in terms of overall happiness, I don't think it would as much as we all think it might. And then that follow-up one about seeking perfection faults the ordinary. I think all of us want everything to be perfect and amazing instead of just like, hey, this life I live, again, 1-bedroom apartment, it can be a bit cramped. We would like to have a bigger space, but this life that we're living is pretty good. I get to do stuff like this. I'm physically healthy. My mental health is good, right? And once you get those kind of 3 things, like place to live, physical health, mental health, once they're in synergy, I feel like that's the main thing that matters, right? Relationships and friendships are what matters, not things and stuff and Instagram likes and followers. Those things don't matter as much. And it is okay to be satisfied with what you have, with the adequate and with the enjoyable, without it having to be perfect. This one focused more on money and finances, which again, like a lot of this kind of correlates to. This one is really interesting that I've never thought about before, but I think it's a really good perspective. Not content with average market returns, the overachiever strives to find the hot stock, but that's what everyone's looking for. When there's a whiff of fast money in the air, investors pile on and hope to get in and out before the assumed collapse, ahead of all the other achievers hoping to do the same thing. It's this sort of mad high-stakes chase that leads to the overvalued market bubbles that can burst and clean everybody out. Now, why do I highlight that one in particular? And there's a little bit extra that I didn't highlight that isn't there, but I'll explain it. Basically, what this is saying is like, everyone is like trying to get rich really quick. Everyone's trying to find the next like investment that will pay them heaps very quickly. But I think the underachiever, or the ethos of this book is saying, if you just invest regularly into an index fund, into the average index market, right, the return on that is sort of more than enough that in 20, 30 years, you will get a really good return, right? And that's why like I invest regularly, I invest every month. But then it's like people get greedy, or they want to overachieve, or they want to get rich quick. So they go out and find these like stocks that might pop or might not. And really, if you're just content with the average, or you're just content with the ordinary, just investing a little bit every month will pay the dividends you're looking for. It'll just take more time. And I think it's interesting to think about that. Like we all want to be rich now, but if we take small steps now to invest money where we can, it will pay dividends for us when we're a little bit older. Okay, so that is the Underachievers Manifesto, I think it's called, and it was a really interesting book. Again, you can read this book in a day. You can read it in an hour. It's very easy, very fun, a little bit funny, and I really hope you check it out. If you like this video and want to watch a few more, I will put a video here that YouTube thinks you might like, and all of my videos are on my channel, plus my primary channel as well, so go and check me out. All my links are down below, and I'll see you in the next video.